Like coal, oil, and gas, water is a strategic resource that drives geopolitics. China is facing a severe water shortage, and this is a very serious problem. Its aggressive economic growth has dried up the country. From 2000 to 2014, China's water resources fell by 13%. It has 20% of the world's population, but only 6% of its fresh water. Over half of China's rivers have disappeared, while pollution has spoiled the remaining ones. The country's competition for water is souring relations with the neighbors and driving Southeast Asia's Mekong River basin like a wedge between the U.S. and China. Hello, I'm Lei. Welcome to my show. In 2005, former Premier Wen Jiabao stated that water scarcity threatened the very survival of the Chinese nation. An official declared that China must fight for every drop of water or die. The Economist magazine said in 2013 that China can print money but can't print water. At a policy briefing on November 22nd last year, Vice Minister of the Ministry of Water Resources reiterated the causes of China's water shortage: groundwater overdraft and pollution. He said that out of 31 provinces, 21 have the problem of groundwater overdraft. However, according to Dr. Wang Weiluo, an ecologist living in Germany, China should have enough resources to sustain its water usage. The total amount of underground water in China in 2020 was 850 billion cubic meters. In theory, it should be enough to sustain the total water consumption at 580 billion cubic meters for the year, of which 15% is for household use, 15% is for industrial use, and nearly 70% is for agricultural use. China's agricultural water use is highly inefficient and wasteful. Dr. Wang said that when China imports food, like grain and produce, it's really importing the water they don't have to grow their own food. The real cause of China's water shortage is pollution. Dr. Wang said that 87% of China's groundwater is heavily polluted. In a country where party loyalty takes priority over ethical conduct, GDP growth supersedes sustainability. The decimation of water resources is a man-made disaster. Direct industrial waste dumping, excessive use of chemical fertilizers and pesticides, the oversight and cutting of corners by authorities, the overbuilding of dams, and direct contamination from oil pipelines or city sewage leaks have all contributed to pollution. In addition, the solution to groundwater overdraft has caused further harm. To prevent groundwater levels from continuously falling, some scientists in China suggested pouring wastewater back into the ground with pressure pumps. But this dirty water will not be filtered out because groundwater that goes to the deeper layers below the septic layer is almost never exchanged with the surface water. Some experts estimate that it might take 1,000 years to cure China's groundwater pollution. The Huai River Basin is one of the most polluted areas in China. The region had its first major water crisis as a result of pollution in July 1994. At that time, the upper reaches of the Huai River received sudden heavy rainfall, and some reservoirs took the liberty to dump wastewater. Everywhere the contaminated water flowed, aquatic life died. The water was so contaminated that some municipal water plants had to shut down water supply for 54 days, leaving millions of people in a water emergency. The following year, the Chinese regime announced a pollution treatment plan to clean the river by 2000. Yet after 10 years and 60 billion renminbi, the largest ever flood of pollution hit the Huai River. This is how it was described in the state media. Like a huge black mushroom cloud, the sewage mass was 133 kilometers long and 500 million tons in volume. The first stretch of the wave was black domestic sewage, followed by multicolored industrial waste. It rushed down from the river's upper reaches, sweeping thousands of kilometers, and went to Hongze Lake. The lake's level of ammonia nitrogen went up more than 60 times, and the lake instantly became toxic. The same incident happened again in the lake in 2018, and 6,000 acres of fisheries were destroyed. The river, which used to be a flood corridor, is now often called a sewage corridor because the food, pharmaceutical, and chemical plants upstream do not properly dispose of or treat their wastewater. Once a typhoon or heavy rain hits, the river becomes a sewage corridor when the dams upstream discharge water. China's reckless building of dams and irresponsible management of its waters have become a grave concern for downstream nations. A new geopolitical battle has begun between China and its neighbors, and also the United States. The Mekong River originates in the Tibetan Plateau, and after leaving China, it winds its way through Myanmar, Laos, Thailand, Cambodia, and Vietnam, before flowing into the South China Sea. It is estimated that 60 million people in mainland Southeast Asia depend on the Mekong's resources. In recent years, China has been diverting so much water from dams along the upper Mekong River that the Southeast Asian countries downstream are left dry during prime agricultural seasons. Since 2019, the Mekong region has suffered historically severe drought. According to the Stimson Center, it was caused by upstream dams in China withholding more water than in the previous 20 years. In 2019, there was above-average rainfall and snow melt in China, and the water from this precipitation was nearly all retained in China's dams.
Some of the reasons are unpredictable weather, El Niño, and climate change. But some countries like China and Laos are also trying to keep too much water in dams.
Aside from impounding water, the sudden releasing of water from dams during rainy season to discharge overflow or to supply water for irrigation to Chinese farmers also threatened the livelihood of downstream villages. A 2019 opening of the floodgates caused water levels in the Mekong to increase as much as 3.7 meters in some places, the largest such increase in 37 years. However, the governments of the lower Mekong Basin countries have been mostly quiet. Laos and Cambodia are aligned with China. Laos is building its own dams, and Cambodia has allowed China to build the longest dam in Asia as part of the Belt and Road Initiative. The drought has greatly affected crops in Vietnam and Thailand, two major rice-producing countries. Thailand has deployed its military to help out during the drought. Vietnam declared a state of emergency in the Mekong Delta and was the most affected during the drought in 2019 and 20. The rice paddies suffered from saltwater intrusion as the Mekong flows into the South China Sea near Saigon. Although the four lower Mekong countries have an oversight organization, the Mekong River Commission, they are now turning to the United States and other countries for help in resisting China. Subsequently, the Mekong River Basin has become one of the most contended areas between the United States and China after South China Sea and Taiwan Strait. Under the Trump administration, the United States became far more aggressive than in the past in blocking the expansion of Chinese influence in the Mekong River. The U.S. implemented the Lower Mekong Initiative, established in April 2020 by announcing the launch of the Mekong-U.S. Partnership as an integral part of the Indo-Pacific Vision and the Asean Strategic Partnership. The Biden administration has convened the Lower Mekong Initiative ministerial meeting, and the Japan-U.S. Mekong Power Partnership has strengthened exchanges with Mekong Basin countries through the Ayeyarwady-Chao-Phraya Mekong Economic Cooperation Strategy. In the South China Sea, to exert pressure on China, the U.S. has assisted Vietnam's maritime defense capabilities in three areas: upgrade weapons, improve patrol capabilities, and strengthen military exchanges. The U.S. has also attempted to strengthen its partnership with Thailand. It has reaffirmed its commitment by providing more than $30 million in health-related assistance to Thailand during the pandemic. In his Bloomberg op-ed, Professor Hal Brands summarized the situation very well. The thirstier China is, the more geopolitically nasty it could get. Let's learn the word water. It's shui in Chinese. Does it look like flowing water? Lao Tzu has a famous description of water. He said, "The highest deed is like water. It nourishes all things but competes with no one. It gathers at the dirtiest place that no one wants to be, so it's close to the Tao." Think about it. Water washes everything clean but accepts the filth. It pushes others up but takes the lowest place. It's everywhere, yet no one pays attention to it. Traditionally, Chinese like to describe the beauty and virtue of a woman by making references to water. Maybe I'll explain it in more depth some other time. I'm running out of time now. Remember, 水 is water, and water is 水. That's all for today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.